Yeah. Hello and welcome. This is the Connectors Edge podcast, and we're sponsored by Connectors Business Network, which is a bunch of people from all over that have come together to talk about what's really happening in their business. And personal too. We get very personal here, but the Connectors Business Network is, to me, it's all about the connection. It really, we have a Connectors book club. We have, different teachers and trainers, and we've got all kinds of things going on as well as the podcast. So I don't want you to get confused. You can go to connectorsbusinessnetwork.com and check out our website. Has all of our leaders there. There's people that teach video marketing and marketing made easy and authority building and you name it. If it's something about business, we want to hear it. And so I'm excited to be introduced to you, Jackie. Ricki's going to introduce you in just a minute. I'm Marian and LaSalle, and my co-host, Ricki McKenna, and I have been doing this podcast for a while, and we absolutely love it. And one of the things that is most important to Ricki, and now to me, is that we have fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so thank you, Ricki, for
That
making
is
that part of it.
that's mandatory.
Yes, yes, yes.
We
So
have to have a good time.
I love the fact that Ricki is in the mountains in Colorado somewhere. I'm in Southeast Texas, and Jackie is from,
New
we're about to
Zealand.
find out. All right. Take it away, Ricki.
Far piece, as they say in Texas. And welcome everybody. Thank you, Marion. And I would love to introduce Jackie because we met online. We have never
You
met
did.
in person. And someday we may, I hope, whether she comes here or I love to go to New Zealand.
Yeah.
Indian.
Who wouldn't?
Yeah. And she's just, first of all, she's a lot of fun, which is good. She was in the UK when we met online, and now she's back in New Zealand, or is it New Zealand?
New Zealand.
New Zealand. And formally, it's Jacqueline Pendleton. I love your name. And we clicked because she's also in the area of health and fitness. She does something completely different from what I do. And so, with that, I am going to introduce you, Jackie. Welcome to the program. Welcome to the Connectors Edge podcast. And welcome to whoever is watching. You never know because we're on YouTube, we're on Spotify. Where else are we, Marion?
All the podcast apps,
Yep.
Apple, all of them. Yep.
So please tell us all about you and what you want us to know, and maybe some things that people don't know about Jackie. And it's your stage now, Jackie. Welcome, and you're on.
Oh yeah, hi. Thanks a lot. So yes, call me Jackie. My full name is Jacqueline Pendleton from Jacqueline Pendleton Coaching. And so I've actually been in the health and fitness industry for over 38 years.
Hmm.
But I actually burnt out and gained about 15 kilos on a racing heart rate from stress, being in a toxic relationship actually, and I want to empower other women because I've worked a lot with stress. And as a byproduct of that, autoimmune diseases. And so it's pretty much from my own story. I just want to empower women because I
Hmm.
think sometimes as women, we tend to sort of run back and forth like the circus trainer, like giving to everybody else and putting ourselves on the back burner.
That happens a
So anyone
lot.
listening to this,
Yes,
it's
it
really
does.
about understanding that.
Yep.
Oh, I love that. And I see your background. You have stress and autoimmune strategies. Do you know,
Yes.
I never even heard of autoimmune until, I don't know, a couple years ago. And now everyone has it, I know. Like they have some kind of autoimmune. And everything, it just boggles my mind. What's happening to us?
It's partly
I
food.
think the thing is, oh, sorry, I was going to
No,
say,
go ahead.
I think the thing is, uh, so, because I used to work with, I had an in-person business I shut down in 2020, although I've taken back a couple of my in-person clients because when then you're always coming back like, can you come and train us? Because they were
Yeah.
with me over 13 years, these clients. So, but
Excellent.
yeah, so I use these machines, which I don't know whether you remember Chuck Norris with the Total Gym, I have the commercial version of the
Yes.
machines, which I've sold to my clients. So they don't roll under your bed because they're over 100 kilos. And as part of that, I worked a lot with fibromyalgia because you have to be quite careful with fibromyalgia, because it's a neuromuscular disease. And so you've got to be quite careful because the recovery is really quite hard and they can have quite a lot of flare-ups. So that's when I started with that. And then when I started working with stress, I came across lupus, Hashimoto's, Graves' disease, as well as I
Mhm.
worked a little bit with Parkinson's, which you've
Is
got to
that
be
an
a bit careful
autoimmune
because,
too?
yeah,
It
yeah,
is. Oh, I didn't
yeah.
know
They're
that.
I
neuro.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah. And there's a lot of obviously other things like motor neuron diseases and things like that. Obviously, I
Exactly.
don't know too much about Parkinson's, but I know you've got to be careful with what you do with people in regards to the medication that they're on. You've got to be
Right.
careful with protein and things like that because it works on the same neurotransmitters without getting too technical. But yeah, that's how it happened. And I think the thing is that there was always autoimmune diseases there, but I think that probably there's more awareness around it. I mean, my two sisters have actually got scleroderma, so that affects connective
Oh
tissue.
my gosh.
And so when I started to burn out, and I was training up to 10 people a day, okay, and I still had four children at home, I think that I was on the tipping point, but I actually managed to pull mine back when I became
Mm.
a health coach. So it's just really understanding that, there's a lot of menopause coaches out there, and I do work with menopause, but via default. Because what happens is when someone hits menopause, their body was just waiting in the wings. It was adapting and adapting and adapting, because the humans are Homo sapiens. We're designed to adapt. That's why people plateau. So it was just waiting in the wings. And
Mm.
when they had that imbalance with the hormones, your body said, right, I'm going to show you. You haven't been listening to what I've been saying. And so, yeah, so
Oh.
that's what I do. So with my
Mhm.
full body renovation method, it's a bit like a car. You go to the garage, your car's smoking. You drive into the garage and you say, what's wrong with it? And they wave the diagnostics over the car. So that's what I do. I do a lot of pre-screen and diagnostics. And
Okay.
then through education, teach people how to get their body working from the inside out. So that then
Exactly.
they learn rather than, you can't wave your magic wand and go, ta-da, you will go to the ball because there is no magic wand. Because if there was, I probably would have used it myself.
Jackie, this brings up a big, I don't know exactly what you call it, but I have a lot of friends who are, 50 and above. Okay. So menopause is a big, people talk about it and whatnot. And so I found what you just said interesting. I'm actually going to go back and listen to this again because you said it pretty fast, but I caught some things that I'd never heard before. And I
Oh, sorry
also,
about that.
No,
no,
that's
it's just
good.
I haven't heard it. Doesn't mean, people listening, they probably, but here's what I have. I really want to know more about your diagnostics because from my friends and my colleagues and people that I know, I think the biggest problem that they complain about is they don't know what's wrong. They go to this doctor and he doesn't know, so he sends you to a specialist. The specialist comes up with, "Well, I'm not sure." They don't tell you that, but you can tell. I don't know. You have to do more testing, and so I think that
Hmm.
is very needed diagnostics because we want to know what's wrong with us. We want some kind of answer to the problems that we're having, the
And, and
symptoms.
and the thing is, the medical doctors are not trained to do what Jackie does and what I
Right.
do, as far as diagnosing from a completely different perspective. I had a woman this morning, and you would love this in my exercise class, who said to me, "Yeah, the doctor said that I didn't have enough hydrochloric acid." And I said, "Oh, well, what did they recommend?" And she said, "They put me on a pill that's supposed to be hydrochloric acid." She named something that I hadn't heard of. But I said, most of the time, she said, I went from doctor to doctor to doctor because they couldn't figure out why I was not digesting. And the first thing I asked, well, not the first thing particularly, and I'm sure you do, is, have you had that diagnosis done to see if you actually have enough of the right fluids in your system? And without the hydrochloric acid, it's the only place in your body that's supposed to be acidic is your stomach. And if your body's not producing enough of that, what happens? You don't
So,
digest your food.
yeah.
And
So,
Jackie, we started talking about things like that when we first met. So if you can elaborate on that, if
yeah,
you
I'd
would,
like to know
Jackie.
what kind of diagnostics do you do? And
Yeah,
So
wow.
basically, what I do first of all is, because even though I talk about stress, and there's a lot of people talk about stress, I am actually in the health and fitness industry. So I've been a personal trainer for 18 years. I mainly work with holistic movement, and what happens is that the internal affects the external. So if somebody's going
Mhm.
to a chiropractor or an osteo or a physiotherapist and they're having an adjustment done, it won't hold. It's stuck, and because of what's going on in the inside. So I
right.
do look at the
Okay.
pre-screen of any reports, any structural issues that they have. And then I do look at blood chemistry, so looking at their bloods. And from the bloods, I can see whether the liver's working well, kidneys, things like that. And mainly just basically looking at different markers. Do they have an autoimmune response? Because most of the people, including myself, I didn't have anything show up on a blood test. Okay, and same as looking at cortisol, I had high cortisol, but I had that done via saliva because a lot of doctors are very blood driven, are very lab driven. So
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like
Yes.
so.
Every time I
But,
go,
but yeah,
got to go
if you
get your
look at
blood drawn. I
DNA,
need to, yeah.
yeah, but if you look at DNA, because I'm certified to read reports for DNA testing for DNA Fit in the
excellent.
UK. I don't pull the DNA, the scientist does that, right? But I can see what's going on. And so really saliva is a lot more accurate. And so from that, I found out that I had high cortisol. So because of the fact that my cortisol was high, it was affecting my hormones when I got to perimenopause, which was therefore affecting my metabolism. So it's a bit like, if your engine is not running well or you've got dirty oil, then it affects this. It's, everything is intertwined
Yes.
together. Okay, so that's what I do in regards to diagnostics. And from there,
Wait a minute,
first
before
of
you
all,
move
it's
on,
looking at,
wait a
yeah,
minute, before you move on. If you're in New Zealand and I'm in America, how do we work together? Do we send you
online.
the blood test or you send us a kit? How does that work?
No, so I don't do DNA testing as part of my program, but what I do is I look at the blood chemistry that you get from the doctor.
Okay,
Okay? So the
Hmm.
bloods
okay,
that you get from the doctor, I do an analysis on that
okay.
and also look at other things based
Markers.
on the pre-screen that I do. Like I look at what's happening, their symptoms, basically if they've got inflammation, other things going on. It gives me an indication of how their body is managing that stress.
Now, Howie, you mentioned that saliva is more accurate. In many cases, testing saliva is more accurate. How would you do that online,
Yeah.
though?
How would you do that?
Would you have the doctor examine the saliva? Most medical doctors that I've ever met they don't even know about it.
Nobody's ever mentioned saliva test to me.
Now, there are some who do it, though.
Yeah. Look, as part of my program now, and I mean, I went through all of these tests and everything myself. Generally, if you do blood chemistry, you can see a lot from bloods now. And there's a lot of accurate. But the thing is, it's all well and good doing testing, and it's a bit like the diagnostics, but I can see a lot from the pre-screen, the information that they're giving me, how they're feeling. And because of the fact that my program and what I do is based on what I've gone through myself, I literally had to write
Ah,
my own program.
there you
Ah,
go.
Okay.
Yep,
I've sort of gone through it
yep.
myself. So I know the symptoms. I know what is going on. So I can see a lot from that because it's good doing testing, but you still need to come up with a solution to get your body working
Yes.
better and start it to work with you rather than against you. So it's really about using it as a tool and making it more efficient so it starts to work for you rather than against you.
How
Hmm.
would you go about getting a test for saliva? Who would you contact?
I
Hmm.
mean, obviously with saliva, you can do DNA testing and they can do
Yeah.
profiles around nutrition. Um, from that, I actually found out that I was lactose intolerant. I don't produce the enzyme lactase. Okay. But the thing, what happens is normally you've got to have a whole protocol around that. A lot of people, what they do, and I mean, look, I don't want to be treading on your toes in regards to what you do, Ricki.
Oh, no.
But you know, but in regards to nutrition, but you know, if somebody's got inflammation, it's only about doing one or two things. Because if you do, I see people say, for instance, with lactose, and remove everything all at once, and
No.
it's too much of a shocker. You got to be quite careful because you can shock the body, and really, your body doesn't give a toss whether you gain weight, lose weight, whatever. It just is. It goes into survival mode if you're under
Hmm.
stress.
Mm.
And you don't want to stress it further by doing, saying, well, just eliminate everything you've been eating for the last 6 years and let's see what we can do. No, you eliminate one or two things at a time. I would start, which I usually do, with dairy and gluten. Those two.
Yeah.
And I remember years ago when they first talked about gluten sensitivity and celiac disease, the two of them like at extremes. And oh, that's just a fad. No, it's not. And as you said, if you don't have if you're not making the enzyme, the lactase, or yeah, to that helps you digest the lactose, that's where the intolerance comes from. And it's probably the same thing. I haven't done a lot of saliva analysis, but I can find out where we can go, Marian, where you
Okay,
can go. Yeah, I will.
okay.
I've made a note.
I'm fascinated by what you do, honestly. And I love the story that you're telling in that this was me and I had all this done and now I want to help others. That to me means more than somebody who goes to college for 8 years and puts a DR in front of their name. It just
Yeah,
some people just do it for money. Some people do it because their parents told them to. Some people, well, I guess I better do something. I might as well become a lawyer or a doctor. But your story is this is what happened to me, and now I want to help others. And that means so much to me. So much.
it's
Yeah, and that's the thing.
because
Yeah, just doing it for yourself. Do
yeah,
something for yourself for once. You know what I mean? Do something instead
Right.
of giving it to your kids, your grandkids, and running back and forth like a
yes,
circus trainer spinning plates. Actually, put yourself first because if you don't actually put yourself first and look after yourself, no one else is going to. And don't just yeah, I know. Look, if you're dying of a heart attack, you can't take a multivitamin, right? We need doctors, we need the medical
Right, right,
industry,
right,
but
right,
it's
right.
also understanding about prevention and being healthy and fit is a means to an end, so that then you can actually make it round the supermarket without a walker. You can put your luggage in
hmm,
the overhead locker. You can get off the beach. You can go in. You can play with your kids. You can play with your grandkids, or you can
exactly.
do things that you enjoy doing. You can play golf. You can play tennis. It's just really getting your body to work for you, and it's really about being smart about it and actually listening to your own body because it's telling
Okay.
you something.
But, you know, we were talking about exactly that this morning. We were talking about awareness and self-awareness. First of all, look in the mirror, and it's not just looking in the mirror and what you see, it's what you're feeling. Be aware. Symptoms are a wake-up call, for lack of a better way to put it. If your body's telling you something, listen to it and then try to figure out, where to go, who to get to help. That's why we're here. But the thing is, people have thought of self care as selfishness. It isn't, far from it. We need to be aware and also curious about what's going on with us. And that's what helps us to understand what happens with other people.
Yeah. And look, I mean, my tagline in my business is you start to feel better, then you start to move better, and then you start to
Mhm.
look better. Rather than in a fitness industry, it's like you're looking better. You know what I mean? It's a
Yes.
completely different thing. You
Yeah.
start to feel better. But I mean, when I've worked with women, they've consistently felt guilty. Oh, I feel guilty. Oh, I feel guilty. Oh, I feel guilty. You only get one life, and it's also about enjoying your life as well, too.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk a little bit about inflammation. I never really understood what it meant. I thought maybe, okay, you sprain your ankle and it gets bigger, and that was inflammation. But now I understand with the autoimmune and things like that, that inflammation is inside your body. You might not even feel it, you might not see it, you might not even know you are inflamed, right? And so part of your testing hopefully is about inflammation, and then once you find out it is, then what? How do you help?
I think it's
Uh,
just really looking at the person as an individual because, as I said, I don't do the only testing really and the pre-screen I do is through blood chemistry because you can see a
right,
lot through bloods. Okay.
right,
And the pre-screen and everything. And most
okay.
people, especially with fibromyalgia, are carrying inflammation. Okay.
Mhm.
So, looking at what how are they carrying inflammation? Like, for instance, my two sisters, they've got scleroderma. Okay, and so they've got more inflammation that's an autoimmune disease than it's things that are you've got things that are in your DNA and certain
Mm,
factors, like when you were saying, Ricky, about, lactose intolerant, I said about being lactose intolerant.
Yeah.
You don't, so there'll be certain things in your DNA and certain things that you're eating. And so it's really also looking at all of those things, right?
It's
So,
a
with the
holistic approach.
car, if you
Yeah.
put water in the engine, it's probably not going to drive down the road. So it's actually about fueling it correctly to start with,
Yes.
looking at the person's stress so that then they decrease that inflammation, all of the things, attacking it from all different things. And then another thing that I didn't really speak about is called inner unit, inner core work. So
Mm.
using actually inner core to strengthen the inner core because the gut and the core are on the same neurological loop or switchboard. Okay. So I do also the inner core work in
Yes.
combination with the nutrition. I'm reducing the stress, so we're attacking it from all the different things. But what I found working with people with autoimmune diseases, mainly fibromyalgia, lupus. Lupus, I've had a lot of success with that. Is just looking at
Good.
decreasing it from doing lots of different things.
And one thing affects the other. And
Yeah,
whether it's food or it's some sort of medication you may be taking.
yeah,
And oftentimes, if you're given multiple medications, 2, 3, 5, I had one woman who had 16 bottles of different things on the desk for me to look at. And I just said, "Do you know why you're taking all these?" She said, "No." And it's just mind-boggling that people don't question. That's another thing. I don't mind people asking me, "Why are we taking this?" or "Why would you recommend that?" And I'm sure you get the same things. But the thing is, one thing can lead to another to another. And if you get to the root of the one thing that started it to begin with, whether it's fibromyalgia or scleroderma or something like that. And I know a friend, actually, she's at Unity, who is not, you wouldn't think that she had any inflammation in her body at all because she's as teeny as a
yeah,
toothpick. But that doesn't mean that something internally, which is what Jackie's getting to, isn't inflamed, whether it's a particular organ or a system or just a part of your body somewhere that is inflamed, and the inflammation's an indication of something's not working right. And that's the attempt that we attempt to get to that so that we can calm that inflammation, which affects tons of things. I don't know, Jackie, if you've ever heard the same thing. I've heard some doctors say that inflammation is the cause of everything. I mean,
yeah.
it's just, it's mind boggling when you think about it.
So, Jackie, tell us, do you have coaching classes? Do you have webinars? How do you work with people?
So mainly I work a lot because it's quite the people that I work with is quite complicated, especially if they've got a lot
Okay.
going on,
Yeah.
Yes.
because when it comes to stress and a body adapting, because unfortunately your body doesn't have a sense of humor, right? It just adapts. That's
Yeah.
what it does. Your body doesn't have a sense of humor. It doesn't care what you want to do in your goals. It's just going to adapt if something is going wrong, a bit like the car. So I tend to do a lot more one-on-one, but I am now doing small classes of 5 people, so that then they've got that community, and then they can work
Yes.
together,
Yes.
and feel like they're walking down the road. But there's a lot of hand-holding, but it's really, yeah, it's just really about doing one or two things, because if they've got a lot going on with an autoimmune disease, especially, or they might have an autoimmune response, but they don't know they have,
Right.
because the bloods look normal at the doctor, but
Right.
then they can't work out why something's going. They can't work out what's going on with the body, but they don't feel like themselves, but
Mm.
they know something's going on. So really, one-on-one or just like in small groups of 5, because I've worked with bigger groups and it just doesn't work with what I
They're
do,
not getting
because
the individual attention and
they're
what
not
they
getting the
need.
individual
Yeah.
attention, because it's about them learning as well. It's not about
Right.
me saying, here you are,
Right.
here's a piece of paper and skip down the road. It's about them learning
Yeah.
it and taking
Mhm.
responsibility. Because they say to me the whole
Amen.
time, I've got to take responsibility. And I'm like, unfortunately,
No,
you
it's a
do.
partnership.
It's a
It's
partnership. Yeah.
absolutely a partnership with your healing person to guide you, and yet they can't tell you exactly well, you could
No.
tell somebody what they should be doing, but you really can't tell how that person's feeling. And so if you have the classes online, would they be available to others, for example, us in the US to tap into?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Can you just list how we get a hold of you? So we'll have that. I know Marian does all the technical stuff afterwards.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
And
mean, normally I'm actually on Linktree, and so I have like a little meetup on there, so people
oh,
can come in and have a bit of a meetup with me, and I can actually find out about them, and see how because even if I work with small groups, I generally tend to I like to see, like to sort of find out about people. But I do have a 5 day, without pitching here, five
pitch
day
it.
We
Go
want
for
you
it.
to pitch it.
challenge,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we want you to.
they can come and work with me for 5 days. So it's a free 5 day challenge, and they get to test drive. They actually get to test drive, a bit like going back to the car. They
Yeah.
like
Heck
to
yeah.
get to test drive what it's like to be coached, and it really gives me an idea. And I just really mainly cover stress to start with, and goal setting and stress, and then
Mhm.
and then that really they start to journal, because I use journals quite a bit. They start to
Excellent.
journal. So then they
Excellent.
start to take on board what's actually going on with them. It's really about understanding what's going on with them as an individual, because we're not clones, right? So it's about them understanding. So that's a really great way of them test driving what it would be like to work with me. And then from there, we can take it from there.
Can you put your information in the chat
Oh,
for
that's
everyone to
okay.
reach?
That's all right. I've
Have
got
you
it.
got it, Marion?
Yep. Yep. I got
Okay.
it. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. 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 I'm finding you extremely interesting, and I want to help promote you because
I don't
traditionally
I
we
don't
go
know.
to a doctor. We go and we see, and they tell us what medications to use, and yeah, they'll do blood work and everything. Okay, you're in the normal range here and there and whatever. And no, I need you to go and get one more test, and then you go back and you go to a specialist, and nothing really happens. Honestly, it's so sad for us
Exactly.
here. I don't know about other places in the world, but here in America, it's ridiculous. The doctors are not doing what we need them to do. And we need people like you who can say, wait a minute, let's talk about this. let's look at your information. You're just like you said, we're all different. We may look the same on the outside, but on the inside, we're all different. And I feel like our whole system, our healthcare system, is trying to put us in a box. Okay, well, you have this condition, so you need to take this pill and go to this doctor. And instead of trying to figure out what it is, the real stuff behind the scenes. And that's how I feel just knowing you for a few minutes. That's how I feel that I would be taken care of if I worked with you.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think the thing is that also what it is, I went to the doctor and I said, look, something's going on. I've started to gain weight. And I mean, I gained a lot of weight after children. I went up to a size 22, actually. And then I lost the weight and things like that, got fit and stuff. And I knew what to do. And they just said, oh, well, it's one of those things, you just come into menopause and da 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 da. And I said, oh,
Yep.
well, I'm quite stressed out. And they said, oh, just stop drinking coffee. It was just, and oh, we'll put you on an antidepressant. It'll help you sleep and things like that. So it wasn't until I actually went and became a practitioner and they said, when it comes to perimenopause, menopause with Kaiser Institute of Health in Australia, that I realised that actually it wasn't in my head, and this is what most women find if they don't have anything show up on a blood test. The doctor goes, well, go on this medication or, just go away. And at the time, I think it was $50, for 15 minutes. And it's like, next. And
the
you go out and you think,
antidepressants. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so when I turned 65, we went back to the doctor. We're on Medicare now. And there's just a girl who probably has no degrees or no, she's just hired by the doctor, and they go through a list of questions. So, are you still driving? Am I still driving? That threw me for a loop there. I was like, wait a minute. What are you talking about? And it wasn't about really getting to know what was wrong. It was just a list of questions Medicare told them to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was quite annoying, honestly.
Yeah. And it probably didn't get to the root of anything that was happening. This is what I find. What about you, Jackie?
Yeah, it's the same here. I mean, they're a lot more invested in their health because they have to pay for medical. Probably not as much as America and Canada, but in Australia and New Zealand, they have to pay for medical, but they're a lot more invested. But generally, if it doesn't show up on a blood test, you're all right, you're fine.
Yeah, which is
Right.
not true.
You're fine.
That's right.
Necessarily.
That's right. You're in the normal range, you're good.
Yep.
You're in the normal
But here,
range, so
take this
it's like
pill just in
next.
case.
Yep.
No, they won't necessarily give you medication unless it's showing there's something wrong. But for me, they just said, well, if you can't sleep, look, we'll put you on this antidepressant, which I took probably for the first night and I felt like I was stuck to the bed. I hated it. And so I actually went off it and decided to come up with my own solutions and things like that. And obviously becoming a practitioner as well and using my experience. So it's just really about listening to your own body. And this is a thing. And if you go to the doctor and they say, oh, there's nothing wrong with you, just don't say, if you still don't feel yourself, you've just got to realize it's not in your head. It's just not in your head. It isn't.
Right.
Well, it used to be the old thing about they treated menopause as a disease. It's not. It's a natural flow of life for women that if we're lucky enough to live long enough, we all will go through. I mean, my daughter's now 52 and she said, Mom, why didn't you tell me about the hot flash? What I can do? And I said, oh boy.
Oh my, yeah, there we go.
He said, well, sweetie, it's actually, there is some control that you can have over it with food, as well as some supplementation. So we went through a few things, but it's a natural part of living for women.
Yes,
and men go through it too. There is such a thing as andropause. And absolutely.
And we just scratched the surface. I'm
indeed.
going to ask you to please come back and talk to us again so we can get more information and so that we can spread your information out to all of the people that watch our show and listen to our podcast. Now, I did find your LinkedIn, and it still says that you're in the UK, so you might want to go and
You
change
know,
that. But I
I've left
do.
it because I had connections in the
Oh,
UK.
okay,
I'm
okay.
in New
Oh,
Zealand.
okay.
I didn't
But
change the
I do
country.
see
Yeah.
your link tree and everything. So underneath, as Ricky's about to tell you, underneath everything, underneath the podcast and YouTube, there is a comment section
Yes.
and a description. So I'll take care of the description and how to get a hold of you, and then Ricky, you take it away and close us out. Thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you, Jackie. We finally
Terrific.
figured out the time difference. So, but beyond that, I am so glad that you were able to join us and to express the things that you do for people because it's so needed, especially women have finally begun to understand that it's okay to take care of themselves. It's the old put your mask on first before you try to help anybody else. Take a good look and have someone help you ask for help. And Jackie would be one of the people to ask for help. So if you've heard anything or seen anything in this podcast that really struck you, if you got one good nugget out of anything, please write it below in the comment section. Let us know. We do read them and we do respond to them. So please let us know. And Jackie Pendleton, we will have you back on again. I thank you so much for being here. And I'm going to go to your sites and see if maybe there's something you can answer for me, because I have a couple of little things that are kind of
Don't we all?
giggling at me. Don't
Don't we
tell.
all? No, I said,
Don't we
don't we
all?
all?
Yeah,
Yes.
true. And so if anyone out there, if you've enjoyed this, let us know. As I said, let us know if there's something specific and if there's something you need to work with Jackie about, get in touch with her. Her contact information will be there. And once again, I thank you. Thanks to Marian, my co-host, and everybody. And we will see you again on the next podcast. Take a look at the other ones too that are there. We've done this for a while, and there's a lot of good information on our podcasts. So with that, I thank everyone again. Bye for now.
Bye for now.